Hello boyos, Rich Boy J here back in with another video, and this is going to be episode 24 of the Vardos mock build series. I'm really excited with the progress I got done this week, but before I get into that, I do want to give a very special thanks to this week's live stream donors, and those names include Custom Brick Creations, Dan6151, Screemin Seagull, Lego Soldier 82, Nightfolk 911, Tito Kolop, Alex Carrera, TinyfilmProductions, Jasper knutson, the Crazed Jjosh, SW Brick 75, and of course, ZandieBoi. So very special thanks to all of you guys for contributing monetarily during the live streams. Like I always say, guys, if you're not coming through the live streams, I definitely urge you to do so. It is a great time for you to not only see the mock early, but to also just hang around with a bunch of people and talk Lego Star Wars. Really does not get much better than that. But in regards to the mock this week, you can see I took a little break from the big tower back there. I didn't really get any progress done on that, but I did work a little bit on the courtyard, and most of the progress is actually done on the street on that side of the mock. So I'm really glad to finally got that part of the mock started off, and I got so much work done on it. I am just so excited to show you guys it. So without further ado, let's jump right into the mock, guys. First, let's start off by showing you guys the main courtyard area. You can see that I really just, for one, cleaned off a lot of this area so I could actually build on it, but then two, just spruced it up quite a bit, got a lot of tiles laid, and finally have these little squared off sections where the trees and statues are going to go. So I think there's like a tree right here and then a weird black statue right there, and then basically the exact same thing on the reverse side. So now that I know where those are going to go, I can actually finally built the trees that are going to go on there. So I'll give you guys an update on that whenever I get that finished up. The other big thing that I worked on was, like I said, getting a lot of tiles laid down in here. You can see that this main little stripe area is really finishing up, and it's actually, I don't know, a pretty important part of the mock because that's where you walk through in order to get up to the building where Aiden and Gideon Hask eventually defect. So I guess it was quite important to get that part looking pretty decent. Just got to order some black tiles to fill in some gaps there, as well as some on the other side. The other cool thing I worked on are these little guardrails right here. Look at them using guardrails in Star Wars. I'm so proud. Finally, a planet that values safety. Jokes aside, I'm actually quite happy with the design. The one thing that is actually not going to stay the same are those black cylinders. I'm actually going to make those gray cylinders. I have an order with those parts coming in, so hopefully I'll get those this week and be able to switch them out. But I do quite like this design. It is fairly simple in my opinion, yet it gets the point across pretty well. I think that guardrails in Star Wars are not the easiest thing to design just because they're usually, when they do appear, they're pretty minimalist, I guess I describe it as. So rather than, just like building it with bricks, I thought that would be too thick. I went with these bars instead with the flags to represent the more, I don't know what you'd call it. Basically, there's like a black portion between the guardrail. Maybe it's like glass or something. But I was able to accomplish what I think is a pretty good design for that. So I think I'm good to go on that. I'm going to move forward with that design and hopefully get those light gray cylinders in so I can replace the black ones there. But you can see basically it did the exact same thing on the other side. The other thing I worked on was those stairs over there. It's kind of a small thing, but it was important. Basically, it's now mirroring what you see on this side. And I don't know, the mock just makes sense now. This area is now accessible with those stairs, and then in the mission you would actually go down that side through there, and then you would go into that building, go through there, and then you would actually go over to that side of the mock. So this is the back of it. Not much to show, but we'll go to the other side where I actually did the bulk of the work. And here it is. You guys can see that I worked quite hard on getting a lot of this street put together. The most difficult part was just building up a bunch of these squares to do the actual platform and get it raised, the 7 bricks I think it is high. So once I finally finished that, moving forward with the design of the buildings was actually pretty straightforward. The door design that I use on a lot of those are actually the same design that I use over for the Boyo Lounge, but we'll look deeper into that in a little bit. I would have liked to have cleaned up this area a little bit. I basically ended up just pushing all the parts to the middle because I realized I'm going to need to work on this and I don't want to clean this up just to put all the parts back on here when I continue working on it, probably right after this video is finished up filming. So hopefully you guys will understand that. But if we start off on probably the biggest part that I was able to work on, these little buildings right here, you can see I'm quite happy with this. I think that it looks pretty close to what you see in the game. These are basically just 3 doors, so I don't know exactly what they would lead to in the actual game, but I don't know, I do quite like the design. Like I said, it's almost the exact same design that I used on the Boyo Lounge on the other side, and it looks really nice to me. It's a nice little snot design, and I don't know, when I can build snot, I'm a happy camper. Also use those red lightsaber pieces up top to represent some like glowing neon lights. Fortunately, they will not actually be illuminated in this MOC. There's just really no way for me to accomplish that. But these areas right here are lights that will be illuminated. I unfortunately was not able to get those wired in, so you guys won't get to see a fresh lights on portion of the MOC, but what I will do, I'll still do a lights on portion of the MOC, and I'll just maybe do a quick walkthrough of everything just so you guys can see the MOC with lights on, because I know you usually appreciate that sort of thing, so I'll see what I can do in that regard. The other big thing is that obviously the AT-AT is no longer here. If you noticed, it was actually sitting next to the Corvus on that side of the MOC, and I had to move it to basically work on this area. Initially, I had it sitting actually right here in this area, but I had to clear off this area because I realized, you know, as I got a lot of this front part built up, I needed to figure out what I want to do for the reverse side of it, and that meant I had to clean off that area. So this is the first time that this area has really been cleaned out, other than like the buckets of parts that I moved from here to right there. So now I'll have a much better picture at just what the reverse side of these buildings are going to look like. And I don't know, I'm feeling so good about just really finishing up all these buildings between this update and next update. So you guys should definitely stay tuned for that. The other big thing over here that I have to show you guys is this building right here. And I actually quite like this building a lot. The top part of the architecture really does mirror that little balcony right there. And the cool thing about this building is that there are actually people on top of it. So I'm kind of building it in such a way where I can have a little platform up top. There's also like a turret that sits right here. It's one of the turrets that they blow up as they're in the AT-AT. So I'm going to make sure to accommodate that. I'll probably actually have it like already blown up, so that'll be a cool way to incorporate some lights and fire pieces. I don't know, I think I can come up with a pretty cool looking design for that. But basically right here is where you would be coming into this side of the MOC from, I guess, that hallway into that building. It would take you over here. You would be really underground in here, and then you'd come up through the back side of the building through that little entrance right there. I was actually quite happy with the way I was able to get that design in there. I basically took a bunch of 4x4 plates, you can see, and I just really connected them by like one edge of the plate to get that curved design, because that's what it looks like in the game. And of course, all that'll be covered up from the back, so whenever you actually see this MOC, you'll just be able to look in there and there'll be a light and you'll see the curved wall. And then if you try to like peek beyond there, you can't really see around the corner, which is always the goal with these types of things. So I actually do quite like that design a lot. And I use the same guardrail technique on this side. You can see I actually ended up finding some of those light gray cylinders to incorporate. But as for now, most of them are colorful. Like I mentioned earlier, they are going to be replaced with light gray rather than dark gray, brown, and black. So stay tuned for that. I think it's actually going to look really, really good. Ran out of dark gray, like 1x tile to put in there. As always running out of dark gray tile in this MOC. My goal, once I finish this MOC, is to never have to purchase a single like 1x1, 2, 3, 4, 6, or 8 dark gray tile. That would make me a very happy boyo. If I pull back the camera a little bit, you guys can get a decent glimpse of just what the outline of the street is going to look like. So you can see that there's these like gray lined areas, and then there's the cheese slopes up there kind of going up onto the sidewalk. And it's going to be the exact same thing right here. This is actually just going to go stretch all the way to the back of the MOC, but the idea is that the street kind of comes this way and then it curves around that way. So there'll be more street here, and then there's just like a really big sidewalk right here that AT-ST is going to be on. So I am getting so close to being able to build the showdown between the AT-AT Walker and the AT-ST. On a side note, we got ourselves a rare boy sighting right here. Check that out. You know, as cool as this guy is, I think I have something even cooler to show you guys in this MOC. This is something that was mentioned a lot in the comments, and I basically just told people, be patient, because I've been wanting to do this in this MOC really since I came up with the idea to this Stormtrooper scanner on that side of the big Vardos tower. But you guys can actually see right here, we have ourselves the helmet dispenser from the Lego Star Wars video games. This is it's a pretty small thing in comparison to all the other things that I have built on this MOC, but this is just so special to me. Like, this really just takes me back to my childhood. I pulled up basically a video of the game last night, and I paused it, and I tried to get the build as close as I could. There were maybe 2 or 3 pieces that were in this build that didn't exist. Like, they were not actual Lego pieces, so I had to substitute a few. But I think anyone who played those games will instantly recognize what this is supposed to be. So it's generally going to go, it's actually going to go like right here in the MOC. You can see it's not really attached to a building. My idea is to just kind of have this building go back and then wrap around and attach. Like, this will kind of be sitting in there. So it's a nice little, it doesn't really stick out. It's not like blatant and obvious, but, you know, if you look hard enough in the MOC, you'll see it, which is always the goal with Easter eggs like this. You don't want them to really detract from the overall scene, but all in all, like, this just makes me so freaking happy to have that in there. Oh my god, I can't wait to really show you guys how this is actually going to be connected to the scanner on that side. I have some pretty cool plans for that, so you guys will definitely want to stay tuned for that. But yeah, this thing was just so fun to make. If you haven't figured it out by this point, the LEGO Star Wars video games were a crucial part to my development as a LEGO Star Wars fan in general, like when it comes to the product. So being able to incorporate little Easter eggs like these just mean the world to me in a MOC like this. So yeah, I think you guys are just really going to appreciate the finale where I just show off exactly how this part is going to be connected to that Easter egg over there. But that's really going to cap off the lit portion of the MOC. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the lights in the room, turn on the MOC lights, and we'll just walk through it. We'll just take in all the stuff that I've been able to put together so far. So let's go ahead and do that, guys. And here we go, guys. We got Vardos under its own light power. Like I mentioned earlier, I really wasn't able to install any new lights between last week and this week, so I thought I'd just give you a quick run through of the MOC, all the lights that I've put in so far, just because I feel like you guys really do like this portion of the video. I didn't want to omit it altogether, so let's make our way through the MOC. You can see it's really weird looking at that giant legless AT-AT walker on the platform. It actually inhibits quite a bit of the view of it, and then I guess it has one of its feet right there, and it's projecting a foot shadow on the wall. But if we come over to this side, you can see the Boyo Lounge. Cannot wait to show that off to you guys. I think you're really going to love it. Over here, we have one of the main little walkways that you take to the big Vardos Tower on that side. And I don't know, doing this right now is actually making me realize just how lit, and I'm not using slang there, I mean literally how well lit the MOC is, which is a really good thing. It's always nice to have the MOC be able to illuminate itself under its own light power. So that was the goal, and I feel like I am achieving it thus far. The one thing I still do have to do is just figure out a way to get some lights on this little removable platform right there. But I have no doubt I'll be able to do that. So you got a port right there. Moving forward, of course, we got the big Vardos Tower. This thing just looks so evil. Like, I don't know. Sometimes I'll just turn off the lights in the room, turn on the Vardos lights. I'll go stand the opposite side of the room, and I don't know, this thing pops so much. I love it. I love it so much. This is, of course, the main courtyard and its lights. You can see that I really would like to get the floors right here built up to cover up that wiring and get a really just a defined view of what that's going to look like whenever the walkway is fully finished. So can't wait to get that done. Really the only lights I have left to add here are going to be some big, I call them Vardos lights, quote unquote. Basically looks like this right here. So I'm going to have one of those. I think I left it exposed, actually. Where is it? It's hard to see in the dark. But there's basically going to be 2 of them on either side of the MOC here. That'll finish off the lights right here. And the reason I haven't done it, because those things are extremely difficult to make. The build is relatively simple, but getting the wires through that thing is just such a pain. And I'm basically just putting it off until I absolutely have to do it. But if we make our way back around to the other side, oh man, I love this thing so much. These lights make this MOC special, in my opinion. So this is, I think, probably the most well-lit area of the whole MOC. There's just so many lights in this one area right here, and I just love it. I take so many pictures, really just from this angle. God, so many things are in the way. Got a foot in the way, Ultra Caddy in the way. But you guys can see, like I said, like this is, I really do love this view of the MOC. I think it just looks so beautiful. Looks like my own little city in this room. So I don't know, I like that a lot. And then got the balcony and that little porch right there. And then once I finally get the lights wired in, we'll have this entire area really lit up. I have a couple Vardos lights I need to add to the sidewalk, as well as the lights that are going to be on that like row of buildings right there. And there also, of course, will be some lights inside of that little building over there on that side. So yeah, got lots of lights to install. But hope you guys enjoyed this little walkthrough of the lights in Vardos. We are so close to being done. So thanks to all of you for hanging in there with me. We almost there, guys. Alright guys, that's going to finish up the video this week. I do hope that you enjoyed the progress. As always, let me know in the comment section what you're thinking about this MOC so far. It is just so refreshing to finally know that I've at least started every single portion of this MOC. There aren't really any huge gaps other than that one middle part where the water is going to be, but I'm not super concerned about that. That's a pretty simple thing to implement, but the fact that I finally started that row of buildings on that side of the MOC really does just make me feel like I'm just inching closer and closer to the finishing of this MOC. If you guys are wondering why not that much work happened on the big tower over there, it was really because of just the dark gray brick situation. I'm kind of trying to see how I'm going to be able to maneuver my way around this and finish up the MOC, and I had an idea. I purchased some parts that will most likely allow me to be able to finish the tower, but I did have to kind of put it on hold, which is why I switched gears to the other side. But I do think that finally having so much over there being built up was certainly worth not being able to work on the tower so much. So hopefully that'll suffice for you guys. Another thing I wanted to mention is that if everything goes right this week, I'm going to have a very special surprise for you guys in regards to the MOC for this next upcoming update, so you definitely will want to stay tuned to see that. I can't talk about any specifics right now, but like I said, if things go correctly, you guys will hopefully enjoy what I have to show you for this next update. My goals moving forward between this week and next week is really to just have that entire row of buildings on that side finished up. It's really not that difficult of a thing to do. Most of the fronts of the buildings on that side are finished up. I'm just going to have to finish up the actual building area around the helmet dispenser, and then of course do the reverse side of all those buildings that are going to be facing kind of the tower. But otherwise, I'm really confident with what I'll be able to get done this upcoming week. Also, I definitely plan to work more on that big tower. Had a little minor setback this week, but I think I'm going to be good to go to work on it moving forward. And then hopefully by this next update, I'll have a very clear picture in regards to when I'm going to be able to have this MOC finished up, ready to go for the finale. So you guys will definitely want to stay tuned for that. Like I always say, guys, if you like what I do, go ahead and support the videos by hitting the like button, support the channels by smashing that subscribe button, and I'll be back again very soon.